Welcome, one and all, to the ExtraVerts podcast, the podcast that pulls back the shroud of mystery behind the entertainment industry. That's right. If you enjoy watching YouTubers do their stuff on YouTube, or up-and-coming actors and actresses showing up in your favorite movies and television shows, this is the podcast for you. I will be interviewing them once a week, and they get to sit here and talk to me interview style and just give their take on what it's like to be in the industry, the ups, the downs, the tips, the good things to know, the stories. This is stuff to educate you as the audience. For those out there who are trying to do something out there, you sit there and you read all these books and they tell you, oh, make a YouTube page and boom, success, or just take this one acting class and boom, you'll be a success. But there's a long road to success to getting a TV show out there, a YouTube page out there, to get into your first movie role. And these are the people who are walking that road. Now, they aren't the big success stories you see all the time on TV. These are the people who are up and coming, the ones who are still grinding away at their craft. And that's why you got to hear that, because they're the ones who this stuff is still fresh. When you talk to somebody who's been famous for 7+ years, it's very easy for them to forget all the grinding that they did to get to that point, because, you know, they got agents and they have their own managers and their marketing team. But when you're that one person, that one man band, that one lady band that needs to be the hype person, that needs to be the editor, that needs to be the person that takes you to everywhere. The way you eat is based off of this content that you're creating. These are the people that you need to hear from, because they're the ones who are going to give you the real inside scoop so that you can learn from their mistakes. You can learn from the stuff that they've done, and you can grow off of what they did. Now, before we get into this edition of the ExtraVerts podcast, firstly, my name is Odeon, the host. I am a writer, an ex-YouTube personality, ex-blogger. I used to do a whole bunch of other stuff, and then this seemed to just make sense, and that's why I'm here today. Now, let's start off this podcast with a segment I like to call Fun Facts. Now, in this edition of Fun Facts, I love to give facts about actors, actresses, TV shows, movies, and alike. And the reason why is I feel in giving you these little pieces of information, these little nuggets, it helps you to understand the goings-on of your favorite shows and just the world around you. So today's fun fact is about the TV show Spin City. Spin City was Michael J. Fox's second to last TV show where he played the main lead, the last show being the Michael J. Fox Show, which was a short-lived show on NBC. I think it only lasted about maybe 8 episodes. It was going head-to-head against The Crazy Ones, which was Robin Williams' last TV show as well. But we're going to be talking about Spin City. Now, some interesting facts about Spin City was that during the time of the Spin City show being on air, Michael J. Fox was suffering with Parkinson's disease. On the special edition DVD releases, there are times in certain episodes where he will actually mention in the audio commentary that there are certain scenes he had to do different times to try to contain his Parkinson's, that they would only have to film like a side of his body, or he'll have somebody standing in front of him so that he wouldn't be perceived to be moving uncontrollably, which is why by season 4 he got out of the show, because of the fact that it got to the point where he was no longer able to manage the issues that he was running on a day-to-day basis. Another fun fact about Spin City is that the people who made Spin City are the same people who made Cougar Town and the same people who made Scrubs, which is why certain characters from Spin City made their way over into Scrubs. The mayor from Spin City has also been on an episode of Scrubs. He was a husband who didn't want to tell his wife that he had a particular disease. You have the guy who plays Paul. He was a reoccurring character, which is Richard Kind. And then you have a couple other people showing up, as well as Michael J. Fox, who did a 2-story arc where he was Dr. Cox's, I guess, better, because he was a surgeon and he also knew the medicine side of the house. So he did 2 majors or whatever, and he made Dr. Cox look like a fool. Last fun fact about Spin City, majority of the episodes are actually named after movies or play on words of movies. So in season 1, there was an episode called The Mayor Who Came to Dinner, which is Look Who's Coming to Dinner. There's an episode called Mayor Over Miami, or Moon Over Miami, which is the name of the movie. Paul Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Well, that being said, guys, let's go ahead and move into this episode. So today's person I'm interviewing, I had loads of fun talking to her. Her name is Tara Erickson. You can find her on YouTube as Tara Erickson. If you just do a search in the search bar. If you are on Twitter, hashtag #ThisIdiot is a tag that Tara owns. If you go to TaraErickson.com, you can find her resume full of things that she's been in. She's been in such shows as Nurse Jackie, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, NCIS, and shows of this nature. It was great fun talking to her. She's a comedian. She does different skits on YouTube, and she does trailer reviews as well. But I think you guys are really going to enjoy her. If you want to see more stuff about her, just go ahead and check the description notes. I will let you guys know right now, do not adjust your MP3 player, podcast playing device. We did have some technical difficulties, so you might hear a slight echo during some parts of it, so I apologize ahead of time, but let's go ahead and get into this episode. Welcome, everybody, to the ExtraVerts podcast. My name is Odian. I'm here with Ms. Tara
Erickson.
There we go. Tara, please tell the fine people out here a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, okay. So I'm a comedian, content creator mostly. I have my own YouTube channel. And I kind of do all things comedy out here in Los Angeles. I'm an actor mostly. I go out mostly for a lot of commercial stuff. And I do sketch comedy. And I do stand-up comedy. And then I have my own, like I said, YouTube channel. So lots of comedy.
with the ads and stuff that you go out and do, what particular type of ads do you find yourself doing?
Yeah, most of it must be a strong comedian and or improviser. That was what my breakdowns say. But I also get a lot of mom roles. I guess I got a mom face. I don't have kids. I'm not a mom, but I go out for mom roles. And then other than that, it's just sort of like must be funny. A funny girl who can be like clumsy, whatnot. That tends to be what I go out for.
It always helps, like when you hit a certain demographic where they say, oh, you have this particular look that if you can play into the look they believe you can do, that you get the work. So if somebody goes, oh, you look like you could do a lot of drama, and say, well, I'm not very good at showing my emotions, then it kind of like you lose out on the work. So it's good that people can actually see that and find work to that strength of yours.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been great because I still get a lot of dramatic work too, even like stuff where they're like, you're probably going to have to cry. And I'm like, cool, I can do that too. But yeah, I agree. Here in Los Angeles, I think you really have to narrow down exactly what they can hire you for, which for me, once I narrowed it down to I'm a strong comedic choice, it was much easier for me to get more roles because they knew, oh, cool, we can pull her in for this one specific thing. And then once they get to know me, they know that my versatility, I think, as an actor is a little bit larger than just that.
Now, just to make sure, to be very clear about it, is that this is not just acting for extra work, but this is actually work with lines as well, correct?
Oh, yeah. I don't do any extra work. It's all like I get hired as either a host or I'm on a commercial actual lines. Yes. Or a pilot presentation or a short film or a feature film that's like an indie feature. Yeah. All paying gigs, all have lines that I got to memorize and stuff like that. Yeah.
I always found that to be like the wall that people try to break, where you go from being an extra to actually having lines. So did you just do like, as soon as you came in, you nailed the lines and they go, you know what, we can give you actual script to memorize, or did you have to work your way into actually reading lines and everything for the roles that you play?
No, I mean, it's really just auditioning. I put together a pretty good reel for myself, getting to know people, being in projects, sometimes for free or sometimes for really low pay. And I edit all my own stuff. Then from there, I had a pretty decent reel, and I just go in and audition. There's always like lines with it, and then they just kind of make their choice off of that. You get a call back and then hopefully book it.
I used to do like some acting, like with friends, student, things of that nature. It is interesting. You had a video on YouTube that I watched where you have to go to the store, and that it's such a simple line, but it can be said so many different ways, and depending on the scene, it could be taken so many different ways. So when you get a script, do they give you a general direction and then you can freestyle your direction, or is it normally just you read whatever the direction they're trying to give you?
No, it's normally on set. They kind of give you free reign, and then they'll redirect you after that. And yeah, that I have to go to the store videos is more of a comedic video, but it's totally true. I mean, there are some people who will have just one line in an audition or a film or a commercial or whatever, and stress out about it quite a bit. And I play with that video in a sense of like, there's a lot of different ways you could play with just one line. But no, most of the time, most directors are just like, hey, here's where we're coming at it with, in a sense of, I want it to be light and joyful and free. And you're like, cool. You say the line, then they'll tend to redirect you if they want something different. Yeah, that's about it. It's not too hardcore. It's just like when you're going in there, you get hired for a job, you're already probably made the right choice when you auditioned.
I had a friend of mine who actually got in the movie Road Trip. And it's one of those things where in a movie, especially when you only have a couple of lines, that you don't know if your scene's going to be used. So he comes in, he had one line, I can't remember which character it was because it was so many years ago, and he did it, and he was talking about how he was stressing out about it, and he was on set, and he just kept trying to make sure he nailed the line. And it was like he was crestfallen as he watched the movie, and you could see the scene that led into where he comes in, and it was cut. And I remember when it came out on VHS and DVD, and he got it trying to see if it was in the extra scenes and everything. And it was like, I guess it hit the cutting room floor and they never put it on any of the extras. So it's like, in those particular cases, you really can't build a reel off of it. But do they give you like your scene to say, hey, this is something that you've worked on? Or do you have to wait for it to actually come out to the theaters or come out on TV? And then that's when you can get your snippet.
Yeah, you have to wait till it can come out and then maybe pull it from YouTube via a converter and try to get footage that way. But no working editor and or director is going to kind of search through to be like, oh, you did that one line for us. Let me give you footage, unless they're really, really nice and or you have a personal relationship with them. But most of the time you can't get the footage unless you can rip it from somewhere. And then if it's cut out, then yeah, it's kind of all a loss, sort of.
Yeah,
But you can at least claim credit on IMDb that you still were in it, even though your thing was cut. They'll still approve that credit, which is, I guess, somewhat of a plus. You know, you can still have that credit. But yeah, getting the footage would be probably pretty difficult.
So while we're talking about the subject of IMDb, how does IMDb actually even update? Because I know you look up many different movie stars, you see the different things that they're in, but somebody actually has to input it. Do you have to like update your resume? Do they have to validate it? Like, what do they do? What's the process like?
Yeah, I have to do it myself. So I have to go on to whatever project I did and go, oh, cool, I'm not added on there because they won't do it. And you go down to the bottom of the page and go, edit this page. And then you put in your name. You're like, I was an actor. Here was my role. And then IMDb approves it once they talk to producer or director or whoever is dealing with IMDb for that specific project. But I mean, stars, their managers and stuff do that for them. But me, I'm not one of those things. So I have to remember and do it myself and add it in. There's nice directors and nice projects that will do it for you and input your info up there. So they'll just go, oh, I added you to IMDb, which is great. But bigger shows and bigger projects, you have to take the initiative yourself.
Making sure your IMDb page is up to date is similar to keeping your resume updated when you're looking for a new job. Is that if your IMDb page shows it hasn't been updated in 5 years, but you've been working, somebody might try to look you up and go, oh, they haven't gotten any work in the last 5 years. They must be gone cold, or they must have walked away from the craft. And he's like, no, I didn't walk away. I just haven't kept my resume up to date.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. 100%. I think most people most likely will keep their resume updated. I think there's two types of people. One is the people who are working, don't have the time. They have a manager who does that for them. Number two are the people who are still out there and hustling every single day, hoping just for another part. And trust me, are making sure the second we get home, they better add me to that IMDb because I need the credit in case I can get, a better agent from it, or an agent or a manager or whatever, or just a better role. And that gives you just a little more push when people look you up.
So with all the things that you do, your YouTube creations, comedy, what is a day like for you, just like grinding away, trying to get your voice out there, your name out there to get more work? How's that the daily grind for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is like waking up and choosing maybe not to work out or take care of myself, where I'm like, oh, and trust me, I don't work out hardcore. I'll take a walk and maybe lift my 10-pound weights. But a lot of times I kind of have to like wake up and skip that, drink some coffee and sit down and start to edit, because I do everything myself. So meaning I film all my own stuff. It's all my own ideas. And then I edit everything, and editing takes quite a while, especially if I'm reenacting a trailer. I mean, there's a lot of, I try to make the trailer as close to the original trailer as possible. So that takes, hours of my life. If not, some trailers take me 12 hours, which of course it's not all in one sitting. Sometimes I'll split it up over a couple of days, but I tend to do that. And then hopefully I'll have an audition, midday. Some days I don't have any auditions, and that's okay. But I'll go to an audition, and that takes up driving around town. And then I'm in a character class, and I do stand up. So it depends. If I need to go to an open mic, I'll do that in the evening, and then hopefully find time to write. And then if I have a show, I'll do a stand-up show. And then it kind of starts all over. Like this week, I need to make sure that at one of these days, I can then film something for next week that I need to edit by Monday, is kind of how my life goes. So that's kind of.
I know in stand-up, they say that you have to work on your tight 5. That's the 5 best jokes you have.
Tight 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have probably, if I added together my stuff, I'd have a tight 5 minutes. I've only been doing stand-up probably for about 8 or 9 months. So I haven't figured out exactly what all my tight 5 minutes are. I don't do setup, punchline. I don't do like one-liner jokes. I kind of tell stories. It's more observational comedy. So sometimes just the beginning of my setup of my set is 2 minutes. So 5 minutes goes by fairly quickly. I don't know what I would choose for maybe my tight 5 minutes to be. It would really probably depend on the crowd or where I'm at. And I think because I'm still so new to stand up, I'm still figuring it out.
Well, I can say honestly, from watching your YouTube videos, I really enjoyed the different Uber customers video. It was absolutely hilarious to me how it's very true. I drive, I don't drive for Lyft, but I've taken many different Lyfts, and there's different types of drivers who will either overshare or they don't know what they're doing when they're behind the wheel. And it's just very funny to see it, because I was like, as I'm watching this is exactly what happens. And I think that's the benefit of observational humor, is that it's something that everyone can relate to. So it's like, oh, someone went through something that I went through, but they made it funny. So it's something they can actually take with them, versus like the one-liners where you got to make sure you set it up just right.
Yes. Yeah. So that's exactly what my point of view is very observational. I'm glad you found the Uber. Yeah. My comedy is always like, what can be generalized that a lot of people can relate to? If I were to talk about something or try to make a story, funny, and not necessarily focus on a lot of punchlines, but just focus on something that people can relate to and find funny.
I know that different comedians have said that one of the harder parts of relational humor is that the room has to have a similar consciousness of what you're talking about. So let's say you're talking about how you use Google Maps, but you're in a location where they know Waze more than Google Maps. So then if you're going into a joke about how the person's always 5 minutes late before the turn, they might not understand it. And then you can hear part of the room might get it, but the other part of the room is still trying to catch up. Do you find that you have to like get a feel for the room to see how technical you have to be for your jokes? Or can you just go straight into it and then make the adjustments as you go into the joke?
What's funny is that because I'm still fairly new to it, I've actually never made true adjustments during a set after getting to know an audience. I have always just kind of memorized how I've wanted to do my set and my stories. And I just kind of go with it, because I'm very much like, no, I want to follow this order. A lot of my stories, let's say if I have 5 stories that link to a bunch of stuff, I tend to have a lot of callbacks within them. So if there's a catchphrase with a character that I do or a joke, it has to follow kind of a form so that the callback works. So sometimes if you're like, oh, it's kind of not working, it's okay. I'll maybe speed it up a little bit or maybe cut it short. But I, at least for now, in the beginning, I have not gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, let me just pull this other joke out of my roster and do that instead. I stick pretty clearly to what set I wrote out for that night. At least for now, I think just because I'm still somewhat amateur to it.
So there's a comedian, I'm not going to give out his name because people might not like him, but he does something similar to that. He had a joke that's actually like 15 minutes long. And he starts off with the joke, says, you're not going to find this funny, but this is the punchline. But by the end of the joke, it's going to be hilarious. And as he's walking you through each step of the way, it is becoming gradually funnier to in the end. You're laughing at a line that had no meaning at the very beginning. And I think that's like the big payoff when you know people are actually paying attention and getting the concepts that you're getting. It also shows that it strikes a chord with them, that you've grabbed their attention. So, kudos to you for picking your type and then sticking with it and not trying to let the audience like rush you into anything. So moving on, what inspired you to get into stand-up, seeing that you're so new to it?
I feel like I just was confronted with being in the comedy world, doing improv and sketch comedy, as well as my YouTube channel, that everybody would go meet, hey, where can I come see you? And I was like, oh man, this is a world I'm not tapping into, because people sure may go, oh, you've got a YouTube channel. Cool. And it's like comedy based, but a lot of them are like, YouTube's a little bit of a weird audience. And some people like forget about YouTube, or they might think it's weird. But when you talk about stand-up, they will come see a stand-up show, even if I could have shot a video with the same jokes, put it up on YouTube. I don't know. There's just something different. So I thought I should tap into it in the comedy world of everything here in LA. Everything that I do is really to get work and to get jobs. And if there's someone there who sees my stand-up and likes it, likes the character and my point of view, great. That's the other reason why I do sketch comedy at different comedy theaters, as well as like, you just have to have a lot of fires burning, as well as I host also for AfterBuzz TV, which is another YouTube channel which talks TV. And we cover pretty much all the television shows that are on television, but I specifically covered Fargo, and I'll cover Superstore when it starts back up, which is an NBC sitcom. But that's just hosting, and I'm just there as a comedic host talking TV. That's never something that I ever had in my brain that I thought I would want to do or be good at, but I do it because in LA you have to have a lot of fires burning, and then hopefully one takes to get you a good gig. Roy
Wood Jr.?
Oh, got it.
Yeah, he was saying that's the big change in comedy now. YouTubers and back in the day, Viners were making so much money with comedy online that they were now getting comedy gigs. And he's like, this is the future, that if you're funny online, then the next thing you do is get in front of the mic, and then you'll find that you are molding your craft in different ways with different types of audiences. The next thing you know, your YouTube page expands, you get more stand-up gigs, and he was giving a lot of props to people doing it, because he went up from as they call the Chitlin circuit, where it's a bunch of Southern comedians. And he said that he wishes that he had YouTube back in the day, because if nobody came that night when he did stand-up, that was it. But at least with YouTubers, you had the ability to spread a pretty wide amount of people that can see it, and then you can then focus on the areas that actually want to tune into you, which is, I would imagine, be very profitable for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I don't actually put any of my stand-up sets, I haven't yet, on YouTube. It's still a very different thing what I do on YouTube versus my stand-up. But what made stand-up easier, and still being in somewhat amateur to it, is that I already found my voice, because I spent 2.5 years online with me just being #ThisIdiot, having a #idiot army, and knowing that, oh, cool, I reenact movie trailers with cardboard boxes and dinosaur toys, and I reenact movie trailers and do other things like sketches and whatnot. I was able to find my voice being on YouTube, and knowing what my point of view would want to be and what I'd want my branding to be if I were to do stand-up, which is why all of my stuff is clean. So I do clean comedy. Nothing is really like raucous or too raunchy or any of that. It's all just observational, clean comedy, because I feel like that follows my brand the best.
So what got you into doing YouTube? You said 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was dared by a friend to make a YouTube video and then to make, I think, 2 a week for a month. And then I just never stopped doing it. People really responded and liked it. In the beginning, that was a little bit more vlogging, but it was still comedy. It was still just me, like, kind of just being, I guess, and not an idiot in terms of, it's hard to describe, but it's in a fun idiocy, just being silly, being me, bringing up stuff. The way that I view the world is going to be different, obviously, than a ton of other people. And then once I got some good responses and people really liked it, and then I got on the train of reenacting movie trailers, and people really enjoyed that. And now my movie trailers have become more production value behind them, a little bit bigger, and it takes me a little bit longer to edit because I put on wigs and costumes now, which before it was just me with, like, I just would move my chair and be like, I'm so-and-so now. But yeah, it also just started with the dare, and then I never stopped.
That's always cool to hear how people get started in YouTube. I tried many years ago with no success, obviously, because I would be famous. No. But one of the problems I find with doing the videos is, one, coming up with the ideas, and then two, having the time to do it. Because, pardon, I used to do green screen stuff, and it would take hours to render green screen. Or when you're editing and you're doing multiple takes and trying to figure out what's the right take, like, do you find that you try to do it right in one take to limit your editing, or do you want to do multiple takes and you try to just pick out the right ones?
No, I do like live editing in my brain when I'm in front of the camera. So if I feel like my delivery in one line was like, oh man, she's going to need a cupcake and a Vicodin, and I'll go, cool, I like the way I delivered that. I feel like I wouldn't have to do it again, depending upon obviously what I'm editing into. But no, sometimes, I mean, a lot of stuff is I just sit and I think, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll say this. And then if it doesn't come out right, I'll just repeat it a few times and know that most likely either the first take or the last take is one that I'll approve and edit in. So I will do kind of live editing. If I hear myself and I stumble, or I didn't like the way that I said that line or the delivery, I'll just go back and repeat it real quick. Since I am, the editor, it makes it a lot easier because I know what I can take and what to throw out.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people kind of miss with doing the YouTube stuff is that there's the equipment that you use is whatever you can get your hands on. Some people use their iPhone, some people use the web camera on their laptop, and I think they get deterred because they see all these people making millions of views and they have a very nice studio, but these guys have like whole studios behind them who are sponsoring them, who are buying the great equipment, that you really, if you just have a single camera and medium range mic, you can at least get out there and see if people at least like the content that you're creating. And then the extras come with it. Like the more popular as you became, your videos, like you said, you bought wigs and you got a little bit more high tech with it. But it's just one of those things. You don't have to start off with all the wigs and all the props. You can start off with just, like you said, cardboard boxes and dinosaurs and take it from there. Do you find that, I guess, in talking to other YouTubers, I saw that you did guest spots on other shows on YouTube. Do you find that you see them trying to strive to up their production value and not focus on the content, or are they trying to focus on the content and production comes second?
No, I feel like we're all aiming to kind of, and literally when I'm saying production value, I'm meaning, cool, I shot on my iPhone for a year and a half and like, oh, it's maybe time to get a Canon Rebel, which was on sale at Best Buy, and I got like $100 off, right? But and then let's get a light so that I'm a little bit more well lit. And anybody else, even if they're making money on YouTube, which I'm not making a penny, even if they are, it's still basically the same setup as mine. Like they have a camera, they've got lights, and they're just in a better position, meaning like they can pay their rent with what they're doing because they have enough subscribers via ads and whatnot. I'm not at that point. I still have other side gigs and whatnot. But no, I think everybody tries to focus on the content. But all channels are different, meaning if a channel is just doing trailer reactions, you can sit through and react to trailer reactions in one day. And if you're a quick enough editor and you're not going to do a lot of editing, you can put up those 4 videos in one day, or at least 1 video per day, which would be really easy, really great if that's all I wanted to do, which I do enjoy doing those. But unfortunately for the platform and the content that I'm making, especially when it comes to a sketch that I write, I mean, that's like, I got to direct it and edit it. And that takes a lot of time, as well as trailer reenactments and stuff like that. That's sure more production value, but it's not a ton. It's just me running around with a wig on, and I still have cardboard boxes and dinosaur toys. It's just, I think the production value is that I spend more hours of my time editing those things than I probably did before, when I just started out on my iPhone and I was editing on like iMovie, you know, on my phone. I did just shoot with my iPhone for a good year and a half. And it's not really higher production value. That I use that word only because I have upped it from where, cool, I'm not shooting on my iPhone. I'm shooting on a real Canon camera, a lower end one. And I have some lights and try to make it look a little more pleasing to the eye. But other than that, I'm not putting any more money behind any of my videos. It's still all my original dumb ideas that I have. I've just maybe added a little bit more life to it, possibly with wigs and costume, and just a little more time spent.
So on the topic of your trailer reviews, I used to do YouTube where I did news and movie reviews, and in the background, it was like a little blue screen thing where I could put pictures up or whatever the topic I was talking about. And I found that I would always get that dreaded email from Paramount Pictures or something saying, hey, you used one of our copyrighted things. Does that really happen with people who do trailer reactions? Because I know the trailer is a small part of the screen and it's majority you and in screen. Do you guys get those emails, or is it one of those things where they see it as you doing a review of the trailer, so they kind of just let it go?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. It just depends on, I hope they don't grab this right away, but it's fine. The content still stays up. I always get a notification. It says Paramount claimed this as copyright. It doesn't mean it'll be taken down. It just means if you make any money, or if you've monetized this video and you make any money off of it, it's all going to Paramount. Oh wow. So those are difficult if you do have a big video and you're talking about a Marvel movie or something. It happens all the time. It's sometimes they won't claim it until a month later. But yeah, they definitely claim it for sure, which is, I believe, why a lot of the ones who do trailer reactions, because they make so many videos per day, they are also reacting to other trailers that some people wouldn't necessarily care about. They're reacting to trailers that their fans ask them to react to, like, watch this SNL sketch, and like SNL is not surfing around to see who's talking about their sketches. They prefer that. So then I believe those channels can make money off of that because they're just producing so much content that it works for them. But yes, I get copyright claims on my content quite a bit when I do trailer reactions.
Well, I'm glad that the landscape at least changed enough where you could keep the video up. I did a 20-minute bio on Batman the Animated Series and just talking about how it became and the voice actors and everything. And it didn't have any of the audio. It was just the video of different scenes playing out. And then Warner Brothers sent me an email and it was gone. And I was like, wow. I mean, I wasn't trying to make monetize. I was just trying to put information out there. But it's good to see that the landscape has changed enough where they understand that people are just trying to put something out there and they can stay out there indefinite. So I guess to switch gears a little bit, with your doing comedy and everything, is there a particular actor or actress that you, I guess, look at being like, oh man, this is what I want to do. This is the kind of stuff I like to do.
You know, I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Seinfeld. I think that's what inspires me. Maybe that's how I view the world. It's very observational, just looking at people and commenting on life. She's had a really great career. I mean, she had Seinfeld, now she's on Veep, and she's just constantly working. And she had like Old Christine, I believe, before that. She's just really funny and has always chosen really great jobs that I think really fit her, whether she has just a great agent or a great manager. But also I think coming off Seinfeld, she could probably just do whatever she wants. But yeah, I really respect her a lot as a female comedian.
So it's funny that you chose her because one of my favorite female comedians is Tina Fey, which is her friend. 2 episodes of the show 30 Rock, Tina Fey had her as a stand-in when they did the live episode where she couldn't do 2 scenes back to back, so they had her be the stand-in as she changed and get ready for the next scene. But I like both of their takes on comedy and just the longevity of it. I mean, Julia Louis-Dreyfus has been around since a little bit before Seinfeld. She's had 3 successful television shows, and it's just like an unstoppable force kind of thing. I regret that I haven't gotten into Veep, and it's seriously on my DVR box to watch. But I always find it funny because her timing is very good, and it doesn't seem to matter what they put her in. She can excel in that role. Like, you don't feel like that she's being stunted by a role that she was given. She's actually owns whatever character she has or owns the scene that she's in. The back and forth with her and Putty in the Seinfeld show still makes me laugh because I'm like, this is hilarious. It's somebody who's in a relationship, they break up, and then Putty's like, oh, no, we're not broken up. But she owned it the entire way through, and it's still funny to this day. So I think comedy like that is pretty much timeless. Which is, I guess, why she's made so much from her career, and other people from the show outside of Jerry has really, you've seen him every once in a while, but she's been like the consistent person that's been around since that show's come off the air.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that a lot of the Seinfeld stuff is totally, completely timeless comedy. And yeah, her timing is pretty ingenious. She's just all around, I think, probably a pretty cool person, at least from interviews I've seen. I don't know her personally, but she seems pretty rad. Yeah, I just think her choices are sometimes just so wild, and so in the context of her character, she always makes it work, where you go, oh, what is she doing? Totally believable for whatever she sets up. I always believe it.
Did she ever host Saturday Night Live? I feels like she could have, but I don't remember if she did. So after doing some Google searches, she actually was a part of the original cast with Billy Crystal, and she is the first and only former female SNL cast to host Saturday Night Live. So
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, I you know what? Sometimes you sit back and you Google something and you learn like a record has been made, and you didn't even realize it was even out there to begin with.
Yeah. Sometimes you just Google stuff and you learn stuff. Which is most of my life. Like, I'll Google it and then learn some stuff today. Yeah. I
find, especially with acting and researching stuff about actors and actresses and everything, that just a simple Google search of, let's say, Steve Martin, one of my favorite comedians. I am birthday neighbors with him. He's one day, I think, before me and several years more. And he is the most famous banjo player in the world. And he said that really I'm just a famous comedian that plays banjo. And just because I'm a very famous comedian, I am now the most famous banjo player in the world. But he's pretty good at it. He does bluegrass. He has a couple bluegrass albums. I've listened to them, and it's funny because I'll listen and people go, oh, we listen to it's like Steve Martin. It's like, where's the joke coming in? There's no joke. It's just him on guitar.
Yeah, I've seen him actually at Stagecoach, I believe, 3 years ago. And I feel like he also, Katie Seagal sings in his band. But, yeah, no, he's great. I mean, he's really, really good at the banjo. When I saw him play, I was pretty impressed. And at that time, I was actually dating a banjo player.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, no, Steve Martin was great. And there wasn't, I mean, when he was on stage, he was just like, this is the song, this is when we wrote it. His personality is still funny, but yeah, there wasn't any sort of like material prepped. It was just him being like, here's my music, this is kind of what I'm doing now.
It's funny you mention it because I didn't know that Katie Seagal was a big singer till she was on the show Futurama, and they did some episode where she did some singing, and I had to Google it thinking maybe it was a voice actress that was doing the singing roles, and then I found that she has like a couple jazz albums and things of that nature. And I'm like, it's very funny, multifaceted talents, and it's a perfect segue to, I noticed that you play guitar in some of your videos there.
Yeah, no, I do. I originally came out to LA and I majored in musical theater, so I was very much into singing and still am, but I've just decided to focus on acting and comedy. But yeah, I used to write all my own songs when I was like 18 and learning to play the guitar, and like they probably weren't great songs, but I wrote them and that was fun. I used to play around town. And now I just kind of like, well, look up chords, you know, online, simple chords. I don't play any bar chords, and I cannot for the life of me play an F chord. I don't know. I need to learn it. But I make it work with simple chords and just play cover songs and sing, and I will sometimes go do karaoke with friends to get my singing out. But yeah, I feel like I still play the guitar and I sing almost every day because I need that in my life for sure, even though I'm not focusing on it professionally.
I play acoustic and electric guitar, and I fully sympathize with you about the whole F chord thing. I remember the day my music teacher said, "Oh, this is an F chord." I was like, "I'm not doing that one." It's just,
yeah.
It's just funny because it's like I see people do it so naturally, and I don't know how the human hand can actually make such a huge transition from a regular chord to that. But have you, in any of your acting experience, have to play the guitar or actually had to use it as a prop in one of the scenes you're in?
One time, it was like when I was 19, I did this like little indie film, and he was like, "I want you to play, you know, a musician." He's a musician who overdosed, so I'm pretty sure the last scene in the movie was me next to my guitar with a band around my arm as though I just overdosed on heroin, and like blood coming out of my arm in an alleyway and like weird lighting. Yeah, I did play.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if that ever actually even came out, but yeah, I was so young at the time, and it was during the time when I was playing around Los Angeles a little bit more as a musician, but also kind of trying to get acting gigs. So yes, I've done that, but mostly now it's just me doing cover songs on my YouTube channel.
Cool. Well, I'd like to say thank you for giving us your time. I realize that you know, everybody's time is precious, and you were able to carve out some for this podcast. So thank you for coming out. Is there any parting words you'd like to give to the people?
Well, just thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad you found me. And please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Tara Erickson, which is TARAERICKSON. I am #ThisIdiot. You can also search that and become part of my #Idiot Army. Lots of fun, silly idiocy on there. Yeah, other than that, you know, find me on Twitter @Tara Erickson. Also, you can find me on Instagram @Tara Erickson. And, you know, I'm on all the platforms. Go and follow and like, and I try to follow back. And on my YouTube channel, tell me what you want to see more of, less of. Give me video ideas. Join the Idiot Army, and let's have some fun.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us, Tara. And as I end every episode, if I don't talk to you soon, then I guess I'll just have to talk to you later. Bye now.